The fifth thing is limit your categories. You don't want to have overcomplicated, really narrow categories on your website
when you're starting.
When you're starting, you want to have more broad categories. By having less categories that are more broad, you'll be able to fill them up faster, and it'll be easier for visitors to find what they're looking for. And then, of course, as your website grows and evolves and you get more and more members, you can then add more categories.
Let me create a simple example here about categories. Let's stick with a lawyer directory as an example. So there are 1,000,001 categories for lawyers. And let's say you started your site and you imported all those lawyer categories into your site, and you start marketing, and you might get one or two or a small handful of lawyers in each category, and a lot of those categories would remain empty for a long time. But let's say you broke those lawyer categories down into maybe 20 or 10 or just a number that makes a smaller number that's broader categories. When members join your site, they can choose the category that they feel that they belong to. And when website visitors come to your site and do a search for a specific category, there's going to be members in those categories, and that's going to make your website look like a better resource. It's more used by people, and that's going to create trust, credibility, and authority in the industry that you're trying to create a membership website in.
Exactly. And again, these are all keys that we need to have in order to build that community.
So if you have a complicated category structure, it's not that the categories aren't important, but try to simplify those categories and add more over time. You can always do a newsletter and say, hey, we just added these categories to our website. Why don't you come back to our site and choose if one of those are a better fit for you than what you chose before. So that gives you an opportunity to engage your audience with some awesome news. It shows that your website has a pulse. There's people behind your website making changes and that care about your member base. And also your members might give you idea examples for the categories that should be on your site too, once you open that dialogue with email newsletters and things like that.
Yeah, keep that dialogue open between your members. That helps build credibility, it helps build trust, and that will help to build relationships, which is the key to all of this.
Building relationships. And some drawbacks, which we just mentioned, too many decisions for visitors to make when they come to your website. They might not know the specific granular category they're looking for. And when you make it more difficult for visitors, it takes more time and they might just leave your website. It also takes a lot longer to fill those individual categories with member listings because there's so many categories to fill. You have to work overtime to get them all filled up. And your site will continue to look empty because of that. And ultimately, if your site looks more empty, it looks less credible, less trustworthy, and you're going to get
less signups.